Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is ToutSuite Impromptu. I am Susan Quinn with ToutSuite Social Club, and I'm here with Chef Jake Rand of Aiko's Napa Valley.
Very good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Executive chef of a fantastic sushi. Explain the restaurant to us really quickly.
Aiko's, we're about 2 years old. We're on First Street in Napa. It's a modern Japanese restaurant, so we have a full a la carte sushi menu as well as a kitchen menu that kind of features some local inspired California cuisine with a Japanese twist. Mm-hmm. So that's how I would describe it.
It's expansive. They have a great bar. People are there all the time. I mean,
it's fun. It's a high energy place. We try to entertain our guests and show them a good time. It's casual but welcoming. Great food.
Great. So grab your glass of wine here.
Is this mine or is this yours?
That's yours. Okay. I'm going to grab mine in a second.
Sure.
We are actually very happy to be drinking the Tiedemann Wines Cabernet Sauvignon blend. So what are we making tonight, Jake?
Well, I think today the theme is chicken.
So should we get started?
I think we should.
And if you could hand me my wine, you're closer. That would be great. And then I'll start the fire.
I think that's the idea. So the idea, I think, is to sort of bring some of the things that we might do at the restaurant and make them available to the home chef. So some things that you might not think is approachable, we're kind of giving you some ways maybe to do it not just at home, but maybe do it at home and then go even one step easier with maybe stuff that you already have on hand or stuff that maybe you've already even cooked and you sort of have left over. So I think that's the idea.
Yeah. So we're going to get started with, I'm going to go first,
okay,
and then you're going to bring it home. I'm doing a chicken liver pate. I soaked them in milk for 1 hour.
Okay.
And so now I'm just going to...
Whole milk?
I did. I always use whole milk. So that's just what I had.
Perfect.
That's what the show's all about, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you use? Do you usually use whole milk or?
Yeah, whole milk.
Doesn't matter. Okay. So it said, the instructions are to pat them dry. They look dry.
They look dry to me.
And then you just simply fry them up in a little olive oil.
Using olive oil.
I am. What do you use?
Depends on what I'm doing. There's pros and cons. Olive oil, of course, has a strong flavor. So if you're cooking something that you don't necessarily want the flavor of olive oil imparted onto, grapeseed oil is a great option. It's a real neutral oil. But yeah, anything works.
So this is going to just kind of get browned. I'm going to cook it for 2 minutes, like that.
And it's important when you're trying to brown something to not mess with it. Put it in the pan, put it in a single layer, and just let it sit.
Yep.
You don't want to move it around too much. Don't want to fiddle with it because you want to get it nice and brown onto the pan. And if you're kind of moving it around too much, it'll never get brown.
Yep. Cool. So they're just sitting there. They're going to go for 2 minutes on that one side. Then I'm going to add some chopped shallots. And this is one large chopped shallot. It's a large one.
All right.
And it says 1 clove of garlic, but I put 2 because I just really like garlic a lot.
There you go. I mean, recipes are just guidelines.
By taste.
Yeah.
And then we're going to add some fresh thyme from the garden. Just need to get it browned on that one side. And then we will flip it. And I think I'm going to add a little salt. Would you?
Yeah.
Okay. This is the best for me. I like to add salt, something that's going to be cooking this quickly.
Yeah.
At this point, rather than afterward,
right.
It gets melded into the flavors.
Mm-hmm. It's always good to season at each step.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Yeah. Season a little more and a little more.
Right. So if you were to add, say you were going to do a stir fry and you had meat, you'd want to season it before you put it into the pan or as you put it into the pan. And then if you're going to add vegetables, you might want to season it, one more time.
Okay. That's why we're lucky to have Chef Jake here to tell us.
I'm lucky to be here.
The things you do at home. Sometimes you don't have a chef around that can just guide you through. So that's...
Be glad.
Yeah.
You might not always want a chef around.
So I'm actually turning them now. And I'm going to brown them a little. I think this needs to be a little hotter.
There you go.
Huh? And then I'm going to add the garlic and shallots.
Okay.
And the thyme. So again, that's 2 garlic cloves and a large shallot, chopped finely. And we're gonna.
Is this something that you eat a lot?
Let that go.
Chicken livers?
I love chicken livers,
yeah.
but I don't eat them as much, and they're just so inexpensive.
Mm-hmm.
And you can, what I really wanted to do, and I found this kind of recipe, was make a pasta sauce out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's so good with creamy, a creamy pasta sauce.
Yeah.
But then I made this as a pasta sauce, and I put it in a container, or like a ramekin, and put it in the refrigerator to save it. And I put a little bit of it on bread, and I was like, no way, this is going straight into my mouth.
Like this,
yeah. So what we're going to do next, after we get these fully cooked, is add...
We also have cocktails, too.
We do. I drink mine already.
So tell me what's next.
So what's next after that is to add a 1/4 cup of dry sherry.
Okay.
Not
sherry vinegar, but sherry.
Yes, okay. Dry sherry. And then that's going to be in this little 1/4 cup size. And we're going to need some time to let it boil down a little bit.
And are you going to add some thyme?
I forgot the
thyme. I see what you did there.
I know. You know what? That's funny because I forgot it earlier too. And so it's not in the finished product. But this is just going to be better this way. So do you want to help me with the thyme?
Yeah, the good way to
How
pick
do you
herbs,
do it?
you're doing it...
The home cooked way.
It's better to go against the...
Against the growth. Yeah. So it's the opposite direction. It kind of falls off. All right.
Anything, thyme or rosemary or...
Yeah, so they're growing up this way, and you pull them off the other way.
You don't want any stems.
So do you have a chance to get this?
Is that enough time for you?
That's enough time, but we need more time. Oh. Okay.
It smells delicious.
Oh, getting direction. What did you say?
Yeah.
Do it again? Okay. So this on ToutSuite, we are an open dialogue show, so we can talk to everybody. And we're hoping that you can log in and join the show and ask us questions. Hey, Chef Jake Rand is here to talk to you, and he's going to be making... Do
you think people actually want to talk to me? Do you think they have...
I think so.
I don't know.
When they watch this after, they're going to be like, why can't I talk to Jake now? You have to give out your cell phone number.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be making the chicken confit leg.
That's
I'm
right.
very excited about that.
Yep.
So how does this look to you?
I mean, it looks really delicious.
It's getting ready?
It looks like the livers are nice and brown on the outside. The garlic is getting nice and browned up. It's very fragrant. You definitely smell the garlic.
Do you think I should add the sherry now?
This is the exciting part.
Yeah. It smells pretty good in here.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I used this big pan earlier today when I made the little, the one that I made at home. I used a smaller pan, but it kind of collected the juices too much.
Sure.
And so we want it to dissipate all that moisture so that it burns off, right?
Yeah. And you'll have and if you're doing it at home, you might even do it over higher heat.
Yeah. This is a camp stove.
Yeah.
So this is impromptu, right?
Yeah.
So there's nothing more impromptu than using a camp stove, I think. So now I'm going to add the sherry vinegar. You can hear that. And we're going to scrape off all the little bits, which is the best. If you can scrape bits off of something, I think you're doing something right. And so we'll go another 2 minutes with it like that and just get it so that the moisture is kind of evaporated.
Okay. Do you want to cook the alcohol out of the sherry too? Is that the idea, or just reduce it down a little bit?
Yeah, that sounds good. I think so.
I don't know what you're going to do next, but I hope it's add butter.
Well, here's the thing. The next thing we do is we put it in the food processor. We are going to add butter in the food processor, unless you think we should add it now.
It's your world.
No, it's not.
I'm just living in it.
What do you think? I could.
Well, you've made it before, so what's worked for you?
I only made it that one time today. It's impromptu.
I don't know. I think that
I did make it before, and I did it that way, but I added way too much butter because it was for the sauce, and this time I add a little less.
Okay.
Because I just want to eat it right out of the container.
Yeah.
After I put it in the ramekin.
How much butter did you put in last time?
I put in like twice as much. I always put twice as much garlic and twice as much onions and twice as much butter.
If it was me, I think your pan's getting pretty dry right now.
Okay.
So I would. I would turn the whole thing off.
Okay. You can do that.
And then add all the butter.
All the butter.
All the butter that you want, and then mix it.
Do the food processor thingy. Okay. I think that's a great idea. Let's do it. So this is 4 tablespoons of cubes of butter. So it's not melted. It's not super cold.
Yeah.
Ooh, look at that. Can you get this? This looks good. I like your idea.
Do you have a little spoon?
Yeah. Oh, we have a fork. Here.
I don't want to taste.
I have a spatula. I can use this from now on.
We need little tasting spoons. Note to self, I'm bringing tasting spoons next
Okay.
So that's looking delicious.
And so it's just slowly melting the butter, the thyme, the garlic, the shallots.
Smells wonderful.
And the $2 worth of chicken livers.
I mean, so really,
can't beat it.
You could spend all your. The most expensive thing here is probably the butter.
Yeah, it's half a cube. And that costs a couple bucks for like a whole 4-pack, right? So let's put this into the food processor. And we're so sad here in California that we don't get to eat foie gras anymore. So this is sort of like the next best thing.
I hear they're like doing on the border stings now. People were going across the border to Nevada and purchasing foie gras, and they were checking IDs to make sure that you didn't have a California license before purchasing foie gras, because they're afraid. I mean, that seems a little over the top. I don't know.
That does seem over the top, and I'm not happy about it at all, because when that came into law, I remember our governor who signed that bill was Mr. Arnold Schwarzenegger. You have a private jet, so you can go get foie gras whenever you want. That's not really fair.
Do you think he does that?
Yeah, I do.
It's possible. My friend Jay is the chef at Presidio Social Club in
I love that place.
San Francisco. They lay on federal land.
Oh,
so the law doesn't apply to them. So.
There's number 2. Foster Farms, Presidio Social Club.
First day of the ban, they introduced foie gras sliders. It's just buttered rolls with a piece of foie gras and grilled pineapple.
Okay, so we do have this is a great tip.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jake. And let's have a sip of wine.
Yeah.
What do you feel about this cab blend?
It's delicious.
It's Napa Valley.
Yeah, perfect.
In Sean Larkin. Have you ever had Larkin wines?
I don't think so. What?
I have to get you some. It's very small production.
Okay.
Yeah. And Tiedemann, this is a new project between Carl Tiedemann and Sean Larkin. So I was just waiting for this to cool down just a little bit.
Okay. Well, while you do that, I'm going to start getting things going for the confit.
Sounds good.
It's just fun to say, confit.
I promise I won't pulse it too long, because that's annoying.
Will you hand me a handful of paper towels?
Yes. I'll hand you the whole thing. All right. And so, Jake, tell us a little bit about your dish and what you did to prepare it.
Okay, so like we talked about earlier, kind of the inspiration for the show is coming up with ideas or repurposing things that you might have in your kitchen. As a bachelor, I tend to, when I cook, it tends to only be for a special occasion. So if I'm having someone over for dinner, and last week I had a friend over for dinner and we barbecued, and I went to the store and I bought chicken for the barbecue, and I bought a whole package of chicken legs, and we only ended up cooking 2 pieces. So what I was left with was a whole, 10 legs of chicken to do something with. And I thought to myself, well, I could freeze it, which is what I would normally do, and put it in bags and then sort of thaw as needed when I want to make a meal or make pasta or something like that. But I also am a huge fan of duck confit, and I said, well, maybe I can do the same thing with chicken, because I know that duck confit is a really easy way to get something going and something you can hold on to for a while and something that's going to taste good, and then you could repurpose it for all sorts of different things because you've got the finished product. So I got some duck fat, and I cooked up all these chicken legs, and now I've got about 15 pounds of chicken confit at my house. So how much
does the duck fat flavor the confit when you're doing chicken?
How much does it flavor it?
Yeah.
Does it flavor it like duck? No, not really. Does it taste like really good chicken? Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
so is it? It's a conduit. It's a better fat to use in cooking.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. It's probably not the healthiest way to cook, but in an era of trans fat and GMOs and all kinds of weird additives, it's pretty natural. I mean, it's just rendered duck fat. So I mean, it's not awful. I'm gonna get this warming up a little bit.
Go ahead.
So what I did, first of all, confit, the first step is to cure the meat. So whether it's chicken or rabbit or duck or any kind of game, you want to look for dark meat. So duck legs, chicken legs, rabbit legs. Going with the light, right?
Yeah.
And then you cure it. So by curing it, you can do it. That's where you can sort of play with it a little bit and impart different flavors onto it. You can do, this one was very simple. I did 2 parts salt to 1 part sugar. So I did about 4 tablespoons of salt to about 2 tablespoons of sugar, 2 to 1, and gave it a generous dusting. And then I did it on if you have like a resting tray that you might put cookies on.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Like the one, like a.
Yeah, like a
cooling.
Yeah, like
rack?
a cooling rack. Cooling rack, exactly.
Okay.
So a cooling rack works great for something like this. You see some of the duck fat starting to burn up a little bit.
Yeah, I've never made confit, so I'm really interested in how you're going to do this.
I cured it for
chicken is so accessible.
Yeah, I cured it overnight. So skin on, chicken legs. I cured it in 2 parts salt to 1 part sugar. This is getting roaring here.
Is this all fat, or is it kind of chicken juice and fat?
Yeah, it's a little juice, a little fat. So we're gonna let it heat up, burn off a little bit, and then we're gonna fry the chicken. So tons of applications. So like I said, I cured it overnight, and kind of one key part of curing it is leaving it uncovered in your refrigerator on like a cooling rack on top of a tray, so that all the moisture can come out.
Does it form a little crust?
No, it's gonna dry out a little bit
in moisture.
Right.
Okay.
So you want to keep it separated from the moisture. So what you're left with is a dried out, a dried piece of chicken or duck or rabbit or whatever you're doing, and then you want to layer it in the tightly packed in a tray, covered in duck fat. Bring it to a low simmer on your stovetop. Transfer it into the oven at about 220 and cook it till it's done. This took about 3 hours. So if you have an internal thermometer, you can track the progress. It's the best way to do it. This looks slightly daunting. So what we're going to do now is make fried chicken.
Okay.
So we're going to make Japanese fried chicken with Panko breadcrumbs. And one thing I love about fried chicken is that it's delicious. One thing I hate about it is that it's really hard to make. It's hard if you're taking a whole leg of chicken and frying it, you really got to get the temperature right. So you're dealing with a raw piece of chicken that you absolutely have to cook to the right temperature.
The inside doesn't cook, and then the outside gets too crispy,
so you're like, it's
brown.
perfect brown. You take a bite into it or cut into it, and it's still raw in the middle. So it's sort of like it's frustrating even for a professional chef that I don't make fried chicken every day. So if I try to do it at home, sometimes I get mixed results. Yeah. So places that make great fried chicken generally do it with a steam fryer, so that they have pressure on it, or they do it in a pressure cooker or something like that. but this takes all of that work out because you already have a delicious cooked piece of chicken,
right,
with a nice soft piece of skin still.
And what does the confit do to the meat in there?
Ooh, that's right.
It's like camping.
It makes it very soft and tender. It's sort of like if you were to make barbecue. This duck has a mind of its own here. It's out of control. Anyway, we'll see how it works. Okay, so first step in frying. So this is basic breading and frying techniques for anybody that isn't accustomed to this. We're going to do it in an egg wash. So this is just one beat egg mixed together. Get a nice coating of egg. Dredge it in flour.
That's just plain flour.
This is AP flour, yeah, all-purpose flour.
Okay.
And
give it a good dredge.
Get it nice and covered. Put it back into the egg.
Oh, back in the egg. And it's just egg and flour. There's no salt and pepper in any of this?
No, because I seasoned the chicken so heavily early on. So I really laid on the seasoning thick before I confit it. So it should be
seasoned from the inside.
As seasoned as you could ever want it to be.
Let's hold this up to the camera real quick. Can you see that? Oh, that looks nice.
Japanese breadcrumbs called Panko.
Panko.
This is going to fry out pretty quick. And so the best way to do it is kind of over medium temperature, because you want it to get brown, but you also want your chicken to warm all the way through, even though it's cooked. So I'm going to turn down the...
Now it's making a noise like it's ready.
Yeah. I'll turn it down a little bit and wipe my hands off on this little...
Yeah.
Perfect.
So that's the thing about the bread, the egg, the panko is the sticky fingers thing.
You want to have
But you just deal with it. It's what it takes.
All right. So let's check on your fries up.
I'm going to finish my pate here. And it doesn't take very much. Just get it to be to the point where, you don't want it to be like baby food. But you want it to be uniform. And now I'm going to put it into the ramekin, just like this.
All right.
With my spoon that I didn't bring. Oh no, I was going to use this.
Do you have a spatula?
Yeah.
The wooden one?
Yeah.
It's in your pan.
Oh, no, this one.
In the restaurant, we call those money savers.
Money savers. I love it. So I'm just going to get it all out. And how easy was this?
Looks pretty easy.
Super easy. We're going to be able to taste one in a minute.
Careful for that.
I should go on this side maybe. And we're going to scrape the rust into our mouths later. So I'm going to leave it like that. And then I just cover it. Now, would you cover this with like a clarified butter, or I wasn't really sure.
So probably what you're thinking sometimes when you see pâtés with the layer of fat on top is when you make a terrine. They'll weigh it down, but upside down, so all the fat will seep to what will become the top.
Yeah.
So that's the best way to do it.
Okay.
But you could cover
I
it.
thought about that.
Yeah.
See, this was a recipe that I got as a sauce.
Mm-hmm.
So this could be used as, I guess you can keep this in the refrigerator for 24 hours and use it as a pasta sauce.
Yeah, why not?
Mm-hmm. And taste it.
Yeah.
That's the way.
That's delicious.
Is it good?
That's really good.
All right.
Good consistency.
So that is going to rest. You don't just need to get it cold.
Yeah.
And then it solidifies quite a bit. I'm going to go grab the one out of the refrigerator and be
See
right
how the
back.
fried chicken's doing. So, back to the idea of confit. The reason why I did this to all my chicken, beyond the fact that it tastes really delicious, is that it stays indefinitely if you leave it in the fat. So I transferred it out of my oven into the fridge to somewhere cool. DDA mentioned he kept some in his wine cooler, or wine cellar. So anywhere that has a nice constant temperature, anywhere below 50 degrees, you can keep confit. And it's just a wonderful way to keep things. It's used as a preservation method. So you've cured it, and if you leave it in the fat will firm up, and it'll hold there for about 2 or 3 months. So I mean, whether you're doing with duck or chicken or anything, quail, rabbit, you're gonna have a wonderful product that's gonna hold forever, and you'll have access to cooked chicken.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you, everybody, and thank you to Tiedemann Wines, and thank you to ToutSuite. Good night.
Good night.